It sounds like these guys are ready for game number 1, and I can't wait to see the adjustments they've made for this one. I don't think Zalae is really going to be pushing much of that change in this one, but Ostkaka's got to do something.
Yeah, I really think it's up to Ostkaka to really make a change here going forward and be ready for this match.
Yeah, we're going to get this view fixed for you as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can check out my beard. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, your beard is pretty sweet.
I've been working on it a little bit. So Ostkaka going to be playing Grim Patron Warrior. I mean, this was a possibility that you and I had talked a lot about before this match.
Yeah, I expect to see at least one mirror match in this match. Zalae, as you said, just got #1 on NA here at ranked play, and he's been playing a lot of this deck.
It's just, I can't blame him either. I mean, this guy is a Magic Online Player of the Year, and to get that title, you have to be a grinder. Like, you have to put in massive amounts of games with the right strategies and put yourself in the best position to win. He doesn't necessarily think that the personal aspect is the best way to do it. He thinks that playing the percentages is the best.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're the kind of player who wins a Magic Online Player of the Year, that kind of thing, you have to have dedication to it. It has to be something that you want to do, and the only thing that you're doing. You have to be fully dedicated to it, and you're seeing that out of Zalae here in Hearthstone now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And Warlock's going to be what Zalae is going with here. This is a little bit of an unconventional choice. We haven't seen a ton of handlock from him.
Yeah, we've seen it maybe spattering a little bit here and there. You might see some Zoo and stuff, but this isn't one of his most common queued up decks. He might be trying to, snipe Ostkaka here, thinking about what is Ostkaka going to do against me, since he's the one that had to change.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that too. I think that the fact that he's queuing up this deck, he anticipates this exact kind of strategy from Ostkaka. He knows that he's not going to be able to queue up these extremely long game decks that have lots of answers for these style of minions, and frankly, I think it's just a beautiful queue up.
Yeah, I'm also very, very excited about watching Ostkaka play this deck. We saw a match yesterday. One of the best games I've ever seen Ostkaka play. Two of the best games I've seen played so far in HPL have been Ostkaka, but the one yesterday, just another masterpiece added to his resume.
Yeah, it was something beautiful. He held on to Emperor Thaurissan for, I think it was from turn 5 till turn 9. I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players would have just slammed it into play, but, we asked him afterwards, and he was talking about he didn't need to do it just yet. His hand was good enough going forward from there, and he was waiting for combo pieces.
Not only that, but it seemed so simple to him, as though, well, yeah, why wouldn't you hold it?
I mean, yeah, he just shrugged and said, oh yeah, of course, you just hold it here as if it's common knowledge. And
yeah, common knowledge. Yeah. Who doesn't know to hold on to Emperor Thaurissan for 5 turns?
Yeah, every other game we've ever seen, they're just slamming it into play on turn 5 and 6 as soon as possible.
So Zalae just going to be content with life tapping now. And Ostkaka, in the meantime, not a ton of action in his hand. Really needs to find some ways to draw cards.
Yeah, that's like the thing this deck wants to do. It's going to cycle through a lot of cards early with slams, Acolyte of Pain, stuff like that, trying to find all of its combo pieces. He has a good bit of them already, in Death Spite, Whirlwind, Unstable Ghoul, those kind of things, but he has none of the real payoff cards yet. He's looking for Frothing Berserker, Grim Patron.
Yeah, no way to really get the job done for now, so he's going to have to figure out a way to actually control this game, and things could get really ugly for him. He's got 1 copy of Execute, but there's 2 Mountain Giants and a Twilight Drake in Zalae's hand already. 2 Twilight Drakes!
Yeah, Zalae's hand, unbelievable, and you got to believe anyone who has a really good matchup against Grim Patron Warrior, not just Handlock itself, but Zalae the player, he has to know this deck inside and out.
That's another really interesting point to be making, is that he's got to know all the strategies that this deck can bring, all of the different angles of attack, and again, just with the way that his hand is constructed, how does Ostkaka pull this out?
I don't know if Ostkaka can from here. His hand is quite bad. This is a recurring theme we've seen with Ostkaka so far in HPL. He's been pretty unlucky in a lot of his matches, but this is also a hard matchup too. A lot of people think, and we've even said it today, that Grim Patron Warrior is probably the best deck in the format. It's very hard to play and play correctly, but this might be the answer. Handlock has some pretty good answers to it.
Yeah, if there's a glimmer of hope, it is this Execute and then the Gnomish Inventor to actually draw some extra cards. This wouldn't be a spot where I'm surprised to see Ostkaka play the Gnomish Inventor first. Yeah, I think one of his biggest cards he can draw right now is something like Battle Rage, and that's something he's going to continue to keep in mind at every step of the way.
Now, since he doesn't have a lot of the combo pieces, is there ever something where he goes like Gnomish Inventor first, attack you with my Death Spite to pick stuff off, or does he start to do Gnomish Inventor, Whirlwind, and Execute next turn? There's a couple different options he has here.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily need to use the Death Spite, I don't think here. Obviously, he wants to clear out the Ancient Watcher. This is a mild concern for him. Something like taunting it up, maybe even healing it and silencing it could be a possibility. But the big one, again, is just how does he actually get out of this position? And frankly, for me, I look at this and I see Battle Rage as being one of my only outs.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with you there. Something we may not have conveyed to the audience just yet. If you're watching this match, guys, get comfortable. These guys like to really think about their plays and take their time.
Yeah, no question about how methodical both of these guys play. They look for every little tiny edge that they can get. And that's really one of the marks of such a strong player, someone who is able to be patient even in the face of plays that otherwise look very simple.
Yeah, you'll see them take their time, and they're gonna take into consideration every possible play because they want to get every one of those little percentage points. When you're playing against an opponent that's this good, you need to do that.
Yeah, it's not just Life Coach that takes his time on every single turn. A lot of the best players in the world constantly do this, and it's vital to their strategies.
Yeah, you've even mentioned that you think that's one of the reasons Dog has seen such an uptick in wins lately is that he's been taking more time during his turns.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. You know, just over the last few months, he's slowed down his play a lot. He used to be very fast and kind of furious with it, but you know, he's not quite the Vin Diesel that he used to be.
Oh man.
Tough
Have you
stuff.
seen the newest one? I've heard it's good.
Of course.
I haven't seen it. I need to see it.
I think I've seen them all. I think I've watched them in the right order even. God, tough turn from Zalae apparently. He's really concerned with how this situation gets taken care of. It feels like, it feels like this is so simple to me. Just play Mountain Giant, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a simple play, but again, Zalae's gonna take his time, consider everything before he makes a move.
You know, what kind of message does this send to your opponent too? Like when you take this much time and you have this kind of play, like what happens to Ostkaka's mind?
Well, see, I like that from Zalae. Ostkaka does the same kind of thing. You know, a lot of times they take their time. It's not just because they're thinking about all the plays, but they want to make sure they always take the same amount of time during their turns, so it doesn't give away anything that's in their hand. When you're playing at this level, at this high of a level, and the way you move your cards around, the way you point cards at certain things, players pick up on things, and giving away anything can be disastrous.
Yeah, I mean, considering the Acidic Swampoo's last turn is, you know, it is a big talking point. Denying a whirlwind effect on your opponent's, you know, when your opponent wants to have it, that's a big deal. Ostkaka going to get very aggressive with his life total here. Has to take 8 to deal with a Mountain Giant. That's a lot of blowback.
Yeah, that is a lot, but, you know, Ostkaka, he knows. He's like, my life total isn't really the important thing right here. I need to get board initiative and have this Emperor start going off to have any chance to win this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. He needs to get multiple activations out of this and needs to pick up a lot of card draw effects as well because his hand is looking dead right now. I mean, what do you do with this? Yeah,
and speaking of hands, Zalae's got the full 10 here, and his hand is looking great.
Yeah, it stings a little bit. You know, he does have a 3-mana Mountain Giant here, but what does he add to that? He wants to deal with the Emperor, obviously, but he doesn't have a way to right now.
Yeah, I mean, not having a way to deal with the Emperor, I mean, he could Iron Beak Owlet if he wants to here, but maybe this is another reason why it's just taking him so long. He's just got so many options.
Yeah, options are always a big talking point for these players, and you know, maybe he doesn't even need to deal with Emperor. Ostkaka does only have 4 cards in his hand. Zalae's clearly got a lot of card advantage at this point. He's just going to go with a Mountain Giant, and I don't mind the Iron Beak Owlet at all. I mean, using an Iron Beak Owlet to keep your opponent's mana more in check, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that Ostkaka doesn't really need the Emperor Thoros on here. It doesn't make his hand that much better, but Zalae's just cutting, you know, down any percentage points that Ostkaka has of getting out of this. He wants to make sure that he can't have some gigantic turn that's unrecoverable.
Now, Ostkaka looks like he's going to start this one with Slam. I think it's a decent pickup for him. Does open up his options for how he wants to deal with the Mountain Giant too. Doesn't necessarily have to expend Whirlwind in this situation. There's an okay one. This turn actually looks really good now.
Yeah, he can, you know, just pick off this Owl here, initiate the Battle Rage, yeah, for 2 cards here, and he can still add an Unstable Ghoul behind here. Ooh.
I'm actually very surprised by this play because I think this is a good spot to actually use a tempo Frothing Berserker. Like if he plays Frothing Berserker and Whirlwind in this spot, he gets an extra card out of his Battle Rage. He gets an extra minion on board. He does lose his 5/5 in the process, but he takes care of the Mountain Giant. This was a tough turn for Ostkaka, honestly.
Yeah, I like your play line a lot as well, but what we've seen from Ostkaka with this deck, we've seen him play it a few times now, is that if any word can describe him with this, it's patient.
Yeah, patience is certainly a big key. You know, that's the other thing too, is with Frothing Berserker in his hand, he may feel like his one way to win this game is actually by just a giant amount of burst damage in this situation.
Yeah, interesting here that he doesn't attack with this weapon. If Zalae wants to, he can get a good bit of value off the Acidic Swampoo. You know, no attack from the Fiery War Axe here. He chose not to do it early to take a Whirlwind effect from Ostkaka.
Yeah, but the other thing that's happening here too is you look at the way this hand is developed. Does Zalae feel like he has an opening here? You know, this is something we talk about a lot with Zalae too, is finding these windows of opportunity of when to get aggressive with your plays. This Emperor isn't a big threat right now. This looks like to me like it could be a Dr. Boom turn and just start pushing for damage.
Yeah, it could be a Dr. Boom turn, or it could be a Dart Bomb plus Twilight Drake kind of turn as well. I'm sorry, Sludge Belcher as well.
Yeah, I don't mind the Sludge Belcher whatsoever. Does protect his Mountain Giant from any further action. And Ostkaka takes 8 from this Mountain Giant now. I mean, this is a brutal situation you're looking at.
Yeah, no execute in sight. He's not going to be able to deal with this Mountain Giant anytime soon. It might just spell his doom here.
Yeah, this is sort of a couple things that I was thinking about too. But, you know, he has to play around the range of hands too. He has to consider Shadow Flame, has to consider Hellfire. He can't just assume that Zalae's hand is filled with nothing but minions.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we see is actually the case here. But, you know, with the way Zalae's played this game and he's had 10 cards in his hand multiple turns, you have to just consider every possibility.
Yeah, possibilities indeed. And with this one, I think the possibility here is hoping that you get an execute and then, you know, finding the right sequences afterwards, because this hand is not going to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, you can get multiple cards here too if you want. You can play the Warsong Commander along with the Acolyte of Pain and then having Whirlwind and get you a couple extra cards deep into your deck, but he looks like he's just going to armor up.
Yeah, if he's playing this, I imagine he's playing the Unstable Goal behind it. Try to soak up as much damage as he can. Still going to be patient. And this is, I mean, this is pretty darn close to the end here for Ostkaka. I'm not really seeing too many ways to climb out of this scenario. It's just too much damage and too much pressure that's being added.
Yeah, even a Grim Patron next turn is not going to be able to get him out of this. He's not going to be able to deal enough damage and have enough mana to get every single thing done that he needs to. This is looking pretty bad for Ostkaka going forward.
Yeah, it just really illustrates the importance of card draw in this deck. I mean, it's why it's dedicated so much to that. You're looking at Slams, Gnomish Inventors, Acolytes of Pain. These are cards that you want to draw early on, and he found an Acolyte eventually. He found a Slam eventually. You know, Gnomish Inventor showed up on turn 5. These aren't the turns he wants to draw them. He wants to be playing them on curve.
Yeah, you need to be doing it as soon as turn 2 or turn 3 in the game to really get going. This deck wants to churn through cards as much as possible to find all the pieces it can, and then you want to have an Emperor after that. You want to make everything, you know, as cheap as possible and go off from there. But what you're going to see from Zalae here is he's going to set up a board that Ostkaka just can't get through and then force it lethal.
Yeah, I mean, Armor Smith maybe can put together some armor here, but he's got to deal with the threats on board. He's got to get himself out of range, and then he actually has to kill Zalae afterwards.
Yeah, that is a tall order, Nathan. You just mentioned a lot of things he has to do, and he doesn't have enough tools to get all of them done.
Yeah, sometimes you just ain't got the right stuff to get it done, and he's about to get got in this one. So gonna try his damnedest, but at the end of the day, you know, the card draw really the big difference in this game. Zalae with life tap, of course, able to draw lots of cards and get the threats he needs to put on board. But just, I mean, a double Mountain Giant, double Twilight Drake start with Emperor Thoros on and Acidic Swamp Ooze versus Ostkaka having a relatively draw light opening. Just kind of ugly.
Yeah, and Ostkaka, he's gonna build up a huge board presence here, but it's probably not gonna be enough at the end here.
I mean, if he could chew through the Sludge Belcher, this would be a different game. But just he has to use a Frothing Berserker to do it first.
Also, the clock is working against him here. I'm sorry, the rope is. You know, you have to get through all these animations. Sludge Belcher takes a while to actually die and bring up, you know, another minion here. I don't think he's gonna be able to finish this turn in time.
Wow, this is actually something that's kind of unique, is that the animations have to trigger this strange order to get things done. But even if he didn't trigger this order, he has no way to actually kill his own Unstable Goal in this position, and just nothing he can do. He's just going to scoop this one up and hope for the best next game.
Yeah, it looks like Zalae's going to take a 1-0 lead here against Ostkaka. Ostkaka, this is the way it's been going for him in HPL so far. His draws haven't worked out in a lot of his games.